This model's Instagram account was blocked after she sent out nude photos on Twitter. What does that have to do with social scoring?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Imagine you've posted a photo like this on Instagram. And now that's the reason you can't rent a holiday apartment anymore, or you can't use Uber anymore. Fortunately, that's not happening yet. But some large companies use so-called social scoring systems more intensively than we're aware of. So, how do large companies use social scoring systems? What data is being collected to create a social score? And what are other possible developments in the future? Let's have a look. Social scores are based on character traits and social behavior. After being evaluated, every person receives a score. The higher the score, the more privileges the person gets to enjoy. To generate this score, large companies look at our online user behavior. That's how they decide which services we can or cannot use. Here's an extreme example. Nude model Kaylin Ward promised her Twitter followers a nude picture. For every $10 they donate to 8 organizations fighting the bushfires in Australia. Ward stated that she has collected almost $1 million. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has donated $690,000 US. The pictures of Kaylin Ward were sent by direct message on Twitter. Nevertheless, Instagram deleted her account shortly after, because nude pictures violate Instagram's code of conduct, even though they were sent out on Twitter. In this case, Instagram became aware of the Twitter campaign. But even without going viral like that, you generate data online. I like to book holiday apartments through Airbnb. It's easy and cheap. Do you use Airbnb? Did you know that they perform a background check using AI software to scan through your online life? In 2017, Airbnb bought startup Truly, which specializes in AI background checks, including predictive policing. What does this mean? Truly's Trade Analyzer software, or now Airbnb, collects all the data it can find about the user. And that's not only the things you publicly post on social media. The software creates a digital fingerprint that includes everything that can be tracked. So if you always accept cookies, Airbnb may very well know your browser history. Even accounts that are not under your real name can be linked to you through the data. This data is used to estimate behavioral patterns. According to a patent application, Airbnb software can detect neuroticism and involvement in crimes, and narcissism, Machiavellianism, or psychopathy, all of which are perceived as untrustworthy. So the algorithms collect all the data and then judge you as a person, and Airbnb makes decisions based on that assessment. Other online activities that will lower your social score include content that links you to alcohol, drugs, hate groups, or sex work. Also, people involved in pornography are downgraded. The software also scans news articles to see if you're involved in crime and to calculate your social connections. In the end, your social score determines whether you can or cannot rent a holiday apartment with Airbnb. You could have perfect ratings on the platform itself. What happens outside of the platform also counts. For example, some users will be excluded just because of Airbnb's morals. Several sex workers have reported that they can no longer use Airbnb, even though they've used it privately under their own names and never for their sex work. The AI was able to link them to their stage names and exclude them, as they could be linked to activities that pose a risk to the Airbnb community. What do you think? Should an algorithm that only collects information online determine whether you can use a certain service or not? Without taking any official sources, references, criminal records, credit reports into account? And it's not just about whether you can book with Airbnb or not. Insurance companies are already using social scores as well. Believe it or not, your social media posts could influence your monthly rate. Similar software is also being used in HR departments. Usually, HR managers of large companies do background checks. For example, to check creditworthiness or criminal records. But in recent years, employers also started checking social media accounts of a possible future employee. So, your next job interview could be cancelled because of things you posted years ago. The technology to create a comprehensive social scoring system is already available. Both the hardware and the facial recognition cameras, which are being used in China but also in many Western countries, as well as the software, like the trade analyzer used by Airbnb. We might think that the technology is mostly used in authoritarian-led countries and that the large Silicon Valley companies also like the idea. They're already pretty good at using our private data anyway. For EU citizens, the GDPR offers some protections. The EU law makes it harder to perform a digital background check. But using personal data and therefore the massive invasion of privacy is not the biggest problem when it comes to social scores. It is the so-called extra-legal punishment. This means that criminal acts or morally reprehensible ones are being punished outside the legal system by private companies. The accused are neither presumed innocent nor are they allowed to defend themselves. But these are private companies. They can decide who may or who may not use their services, can't they? The problem is that many of these platforms are so large and powerful now, they should actually be seen as infrastructure. Models like Kaylen Ward, who aren't allowed to post anything on Instagram anymore, are deprived of a large part of their visibility and therefore their fan base. If one day people who are seen drinking alcohol or holding a joint in photos they posted are no longer allowed to work as Uber drivers or can't rent an apartment through Airbnb, this can lead to serious problems. So, what is the solution here? If we know that every photo and every post is being evaluated, even on anonymous profiles, most of us will probably be more careful about what they post online. And perhaps we won't be expressing our opinion as before, retreating into the private sphere, away from social media. And that may not be desirable for Facebook and other platforms. After all, every social media platform needs the content that users put online. What do you think? Can social scores be a suitable tool to make services like Airbnb or Uber more secure? Should people who act unethically lose their Instagram account? Or is invasive monitoring by private companies dangerous? Let us know in the comments. And here's one thing you can do to increase your personal social score. Subscribe to our channel. I'm sure every AI will reward you for that.
1.